So, good afternoon, everybody. This is a webinar on LPCal Claro 10. What I see from the attendee list, most of you have already been exposed to LPCal Claro, but just so you know, I'm here on the LPCal Claro website that, together with the software, has been updated in a fresh little view. If you want to download or update your version, upgrade your version of Claro, you can do so by going to the Claro website and downloading the version that you need right here. So, once you have done that, once again, for those people that are familiar with LPCal Claro version 9 or previous version, you will see that the interface has gone through a major revamp. You will find actually back most of the features that you've known from previous versions, but you will have to get accustomed to the view. First of all, there is a Claro admin app. This is what this new interface will run in, and in there you will find back your different channels. You can find back the log. You can find back the scheduling of the different tasks. You'll be able to download the different add-on applications, so specifically the administration application that I've just shown you. If you would like to get the installer to install that on another workstation, you can do that here, but also the Claro inspector and the job client can be downloaded here. For those people new to the application, I will get into a little bit more detail on what the inspector and the job client will do for you. One of the new features that we're getting into is the ability to create accounts and to have some more extensive user rights management. So you can add an account, you can give a name, a password, and you can define the different privileges for the account, for the configuration, for the maintenance, and then for the scheduling, now called the tasks. So in each of these sections, you can allow a user to view and or to edit these different configurations. So that's for the user management. From an installation and purchase point of view, you can log in to your account. This is also the reason why you don't have to give your company details anymore at the download of the software, because in order to activate, you will have to provide you will have to create an account, and you will have to get the software activated through the new built-in online activation. Here you can also switch between different versions. So this is on this functionality here. If I have multiple instances of Claro running on my network, first of all, I will see which ones they are, and I will see whether they're actually running or not running, whether they're active or not active. So here on the network, we've got two instances running, one of which is active, one of which is not. And then there's an entire new e-learning section. This is a section that will be further elaborated. You will find tutorials and further information on Claro. The entire help section is there. It's already quite extensive today, but it will further be get elaborated as the development goes on. So here you will find all the help that you can get on the Claro application. So that's for the main interface and some of the main sections that we find back here. So for those new to Claro, Claro is an automatic image enhancement application. It is more than just an image enhancement application. It's an entire image optimization workflow solution that has a core engine, but that also has a couple of add-on applications. One of which is the Claro Inspector. The Claro Inspector that allows you to route images to an operator when they have been rejected or flagged for review by the software. So we find here the Claro Inspector. This is a small client application, and once we are going to process a couple of files, you will see that I will be able to review side by side some of these images that we find there. So let me go ahead and do that first before I go into the details of the actual application itself. Let me show you a couple of specific use cases. So I will find my hot folder of Claro. So here I have a couple of different folders. I will drag a couple of images in there, and these images, they will get processed. Once they're being processed, we will see them pop up here in the inspector. So as I said, the inspector is a client application that will interact with Photoshop, and that will show me the images side by side. Once an image is ready for inspection, I will see this red next button that starts blinking, and when I hit that, the application will open up Photoshop and will show me those images side by side. So this is not an actual plugin for Photoshop. It is a Java application that will run as a standalone, and that will show the original image and the processed image side by side, as you can see here in this example. So you immediately see already some of the benefits and the features of the software. So on your left-hand side, you will see the original. On your right-hand side, you will see the optimized image. And I hope that through the webinar software, you're able to see the quality differences, how this whole area here gets lightened up, how the blue is a more appealing sky blue compared to that original image. And we deliberately, for these demos, do not take the most beautiful images, because in reality, that is not what our customers are dealing with. It is quite plain images that people are dealing with. So I can go back to the inspector here, and I'll find some additional information on this image. I will find the channel that it has been processed with. I can find the original name of the image, a specific message. I can also find back all the processing parameters that have been used in Claro to change that, and if there's any metadata that would be available in the image, I can also find that back here right in the inspector. Now, I can choose if I want to continue with my original image or with my processed image. If for any reason I would find my original image better, or as I am in Photoshop, I can also apply some other adjustments and some other edits to this image. I can always choose the original image or the processed image at any moment in time. So I'll continue with the processed image in this case, and automatically the images are closed, and the processed image will continue further in down the stream. And I can select my next image here, and this way I can continue to select these images as Claro has processed them. So once again, I choose the processed image here. There is another couple of interesting features with the inspector. First of all, there is the queue. There's only one image left in the queue. As you remember, I selected 3 images originally to start with. But if I would have more images here, I can go to the queue and select at any moment one of the images that I'm dealing with, or that I want to get out of the queue, that I want to prioritize, and that I want to process. So I can select any of those images and open them up. I can also select multiple images and prioritize them in the sense that instead of opening them all up one by one in Photoshop, I can simply say here, by selecting any of those, that I use the original, that I use none of them, or that I use the processed image. So I can go ahead and do that. This allows me, if I'm in a rush, just to select a couple of images or a whole set of images, and not having to go through opening them up one by one in Photoshop. So there we go. Now, furthermore, in the setup of the inspector, you're able to define which channels that you want to watch with the inspector. So there's a couple of them here, and you can select or deselect them. This allows you to define per operator which operator should be looking at which cues, which is typically which title or which number of titles that you want them to deal with, right? So that's the inspector. So the inspector allows for a semi-automatic workflow. I will go into the different types of workflows that you can set up with Claro just later on as I go through the interface. I will now move on to another add-on application that we have in Claro, which is the Claro Job Client. The Claro Job Client is an application that allows you to submit images to Claro for automatic optimization right from within InDesign. So I told you originally, I've shown you originally where to download these applications. Once you download that, you get an installer. The installer will actually add this menu icon here to the InDesign user interface. Because it's a quite frequently recurring question, Claro Job Client is compatible with any Creative Suite or Creative Cloud version from CS3 onwards to 2014. CC 2014, I have it installed here in CC 2014. So when I go to the Enhance menu item here, I can here start to define which are the images that I want to submit to Claro. So I could select one image and say I want the selected images. I can do all the selected images on this page, or I can do all the selected images on this document. I can then also choose the queue that I want to send them onto and define whether I want to send them to the inspector. Now this is a very interesting element, and this is where Claro is much more than just an automatic image optimization application, but really offers your complete workflow capabilities. We've seen the inspector earlier on. I could specifically select one of those images and put here a comment. I would like the sky to be blue. Now, I could do this, only have that image selected, and when I send this on to the inspector, actually these images, this comment will get into the inspector queue, and my operator will be able to deal with that and to make that sky bluer for me. So I'll go ahead and I'll deal with the other images as well. And here I will want to have these images processed automatically. So I don't want to send any additional message to the inspector. So I'm sending this off. Apologies for the cough. And as that is processing, I will go back to the main interface and I will show you a little bit more on the main interface of Claro. So here we get into the administration interface, and we've gone through those main items here. I can get a channel view and I can get a group view. I can create different groups of channels if I want to organize them, if I have many of them. Here in the group view, I can view the individual channels that I want. So here, as you see, I can select these individual channels, and I also get an immediate overview, and this is one of the differences with the earlier versions. I get a little bit of a workflow overview, so I will see that in the default channel and in the magazine channel, there's actually a inspector step that is defined as part of the workflow. The fashion, newspaper, and this other channel are two channels, are all channels that have a full automatic workflow. So if I select one of these, I can go ahead and edit it. And when I edit it, this menu on the left-hand side will dynamically change. I have here my channel name that I can change. And then I go through the different settings that most of you people know. I will still go through them for the new people amongst us. So I can define the input conversion, where I'll define the different color profiles that I want to use to do the conversion if needed to RGB. All the image optimization is done in RGB, and therefore should my image not be in RGB, it will be converted to RGB first, and these are the color settings that will be used. I will have a couple of multi-layer options. So Claro will also treat multi-layer images, whether those are TIFFs or Photoshop multi-layered images. And here I can define which is the layer that Claro needs to process. So there's obviously the most logical choice, the compatibility layer, but I can also choose any of the ones defined here, the top, the bottom, a specific channel with a specific layer with a specific name, and so on and so forth. I can change some of the size settings, change the resolution of the image, change the orientation based on the exit information, define the maximum image input or output, and then I can start creating a quality check. So important for the new people amongst us to understand is that the image optimization for Claro is a intelligent image optimization. We will go into some of the settings and the parameters later on. But the image optimization will always be done on a thorough image analysis. And here, during the quality check, actually the software will look at these different parameters: the color balance, the brightness, the sharpness, and the noise. And it will also look at some of these image enhancement settings that I have defined later on in my workflow. Now, for the quality check, I can define that I want to reject bad images, and I want to be more or less strict on any of these parameters. This means that more or less images will be rejected based on what I defined here. Yeah. Rejection means that, as I will define later in my workflow, that either the images will go into a separate folder or they will be sent to the inspector, as we've seen earlier on. Those are two of the choices that we have, or simply we will not reject bad images. In that case, all images will be processed and optimized to the best of its ability, and will go further into the workflow. So images can be rejected on color balance, on brightness, on sharpness, on noise. Also, if the software sees that more than a certain percentage of the colors will be out of gamut, comparing the input color space to the output color space, the images can be rejected as well. If the quality factor is, if the resize factor is more than a certain number, it will do that as well. But I can also reject images if they're CMYK, if they have no embedded profile, or if red eyes are detected in the software. As mentioned before, so after the quality check, I define the workflow. So I can reject all images to the inspector, all images to the inspector. I can send only the rejected images to an unprocessed folder to the inspector, or I can process all images and save them to the output folder. So here you see the different combinations that are possible. I know I started with showing you the inspector and showing you how that semi-automatic workflow works. But as you see here, by selecting the process all images and save to output folder, I can also work in a fully automatic mode. We can, before sending the inspector, we can, before sending images to the inspector, if you want to compare images side by side, as we've seen already, you can apply the output conversion either for the original image, for the processed image, or for both if you want to. Here we go into the image enhancement. As I said before, the image enhancement is based on a thorough analysis of the image. And so the values that you find back here are relative values, in the sense that I can now define a 0 here on the sharpness. This does not mean that I will not apply sharpness. This means that I will apply an average sharpness. If I don't want to apply sharpness, I simply deselect the sharpness here. Here, if I put it on a 0.8, this simply means that I want slightly more sharp images than what you'll find back as a general rule. I can apply this on the brightness, on the contrast, on the saturation. I can set the black point and the white point. I can apply a noisy filter on noisy images, and I can apply local contrast for shadows and highlights. By selecting the color balance parameter here, I will actually neutralize the image as well. Here in the color section, I can have an influence on specific colors. So I can remove red eyes if I want to. I can do that only if a flash is used according to the EXIF information, which would mean that if there would be any kind of false detection potentially by the software, I would be able to eliminate that. And I can define the strength of the red eye removal. Basically, this will impact the amount of colors, the range of colors that will be turned into the regular eye color instead of the red eyes. For skin tones, I can apply a skin tone adjustment, so I can make them warmer or colder, more reddish, more yellowish. So that is one of the things that I can do, but I don't necessarily need to do a tone adjustment to the skin tones. So Claro will detect the skin tones based on a number of parameters. Even if I don't want to apply a tone adjustment on the skin tones, I can still influence the saturation and the brightness of the individual skin tones specifically. I can do the same with green and with blue tones. So I can apply a tone adjustment. I can individually change the saturation and individually change the brightness of these blues as well. One of the new features in Claro 10 is the application of a color filter. So one of the questions that we have gotten is, I would like to make these colors a little bit warmer in general, or I would like to apply a specific color to the overall image. This is what this will allow you to do. And obviously there's this option to keep the neutral colors neutral. This means that the grays will remain gray, but that in the overall image I will be able to introduce one specific color cast in the image to create the atmosphere that I specifically want. So this is also one of those new features in Claro 10. Now I'll find back some specific parameters with regards to a PDF treatment, not to process CMYK images in PDFs, for instance, and then also a number of settings that will allow us to avoid processing images that are not really images that need to be processed, such as bitmap images or logos and those other elements. From an output conversion point of view, we here have the output ICC profile for color images that we can choose, for black and white images, and we can define the rendering intent. So the rendering intent in this case will be relatively colorimetric with black point compensation. If the out of gamut percentage is more than a specific percentage. I can go ahead obviously and select my color profiles here if I would choose to do so. And I have some compensation curves that I can apply here as well. From an output point of view, I can define the destination folder, obviously, a backup folder, which is a secondary folder in which those files will be copied to, and then the file format. So Claro supports a whole range of file formats, going from JPEG over TIFF, Photoshop, different types of EPS, GIF, and PNG. I can define the JPEG quality. I can define a file name prefix, a file name extension. I can add an extension if the original has none, and a number of other specific options with regards to the output. We talked about multi-layered files on the input side. Also on the output side, I can manage different layers. So first of all, I can keep my original layers. This is an important feature for those people who are not working with image variants, so that want to maintain Photoshop files or TIFF files with multiple layers in a database. Well, you can do that here and keep all those original layers in there, still use Claro to optimize the overall image quality of the overall image appearance. If I have a single layered file, I can actually create a multi-layered file out of this by selecting that I want the original as a specific layer and the processed image as a specific layer. Here, the name will be Claro Original and Claro Processed, but obviously you can select that. You can choose any name here for those images, for those layers. The advantage and the use case of this would be that you are actually able to select specific areas of one image or specific areas of another image based on the two layers that you have in that one file. Then I have a couple of XMP options, metadata options. So if you are using any kind of production automation system in your production environment, whether it would be in Focus Switch or whether it would be file trained from laid-back solutions or any other system that is able to manage and interpret metadata, you're actually able here to add different levels of metadata in the in XMP. You can put the channel settings in there. You can put the entire logging in there. You can put the inspector information in there. And then there's a specific one that was created for a customer here that would add some specific TIFF data in there. But if you add that information in there, for instance, the channel settings or specific logging, I can use the metadata that is in there for further routing in my workflow. And then if I want, I can strip all the metadata altogether. If this is an image that is going to be published on the internet, for instance, and it has throughout the image lifecycle collected a whole range of metadata that is not of interest to the public forum, then I can strip all that metadata out of there. I can use Photoshop guides for soft cropping. This is actually something that I did not show in the Claro job client. You can apply hard cropping and soft cropping to an image. The hard cropping means that actually the image will be cropped to the image box that it is placed in. Soft cropping will only use the image box as a guideline to do the optimization. So it will keep the image in its integrity, in its original size, and it will only optimize the image based on the data that is used in the crop box of that image. When I use this option to add the Photoshop guide for soft cropping, this means that it will actually, when an image is sent to the inspector, it will put the guide to indicate which is the zone of the image that is used in the page layout. I can execute an external program here, and I can add a watermark. By adding the watermark, I need to select an image. I need to select the percentage of the image that I want to use, the transparency, the position, and the color of that. So that is a view on the Claro administration. Meanwhile, let me go and have a look here and see if I have been able to update. I'm not sure what went wrong there. Yeah, and this is actually a soft crop that is being used here. So you see these guides that are placed here on that file. This will, yeah, so you see those guides. These guides, they correspond with the image as it is placed here. So you see that that image is actually bigger and it gets up to there. So it gives the Photoshop operator the view, a view on which part of that image is being used in the page layout. So unless you have any further questions, I think that we are starting to get at the end of the session here. I don't see any immediate questions popping up. Should there be any further questions later on, feel free to ask them. You have gotten the invitation email from Daniela, and you can just reply on that invitation, and that email will be rerouted to us. So should any further questions come up later, feel free to ask. I think I'm going to wish you a very good end of the day. Oh, I see one question popping up. Will we have a link to the recording of this? Yes, we will. As we do always with our webinars, we will convert this recording in the next coming days, and we will put it online, and you will all get a link to the recording of the webinar. So if there are no further questions, I wish you a very nice end of the day, continuation of the day, depending on which part of the world that you're in. And I hope to see you soon in one of the webinars, one of our next webinars. Thanks. Goodbye.